And everybody on the road was driving like they had absolutely no sense. And I'm so confused by that. Like, why are we not being safe when we're on the road? Because it's not just us on the road, it's other people that have to go home to their family and friends. Like, stop driving recklessly. This one is for all the Black fantasy readers, including myself, who've always loved an epic story with fae who are as beautiful as they are vicious. The fae are melanated in this book. For the romance gang who goes feral over a morally gray, sometimes morally pitch black MMC who wears power like a second skin. I shamelessly wrote this one for us. Hello! I literally just put up my last vlog, which was a romance reading vlog, and now I'm going to be doing a, what's it called? A fantasy romance reading vlog, because why not? Why not do fantasy romance? I was talking about it a lot in that vlog anyway, where I was like, oh, you know, I have some fantasy romance that I want to read. I've been really craving some fantasy romance. And so we're going to make it happen this week. This vlog is only going to be over the course of a week. Like, I'm not going to spread this one out. I have some ideas for the theme for next week's vlog. And so we're just going to keep it going. Now, I think in a good week, I can get about 3 books in. That's typically what I'm good for. I usually can throw in some kids stuff, some graphic novels. Those get kind of added to the mix some way, somehow. But I know for a fact that I can typically do 3. So I have 3 books here, and I think these are going to be the 3 that I'm going to focus on. I typically do not do TBRs, but in this situation, I think your girl is going to do a TBR. I kind of have a stack of books over here because I'm trying to keep up with all the books that I finish in the month, all the books that I have, and keep them together so I don't have to go hunting on my shelf for them. I do have some stuff left over from the last reading vlog that I'll be dipping in and out of, but that won't be the focus of this vlog because I'm looking at Chrisley Cole's The Hunger Like No Other, and I do plan on getting more into this baby sometime this week, but it won't be the focus of the vlog. I may do a vlog where I just read paranormal and monster romance. I'm in a very romance heavy mood. I'm also in a fantasy mood, which is what I think we're going to do next. It's going to be fantasy. I don't know why. I think this year for me is the year where I just listen to my energy. I listen to my energy, and that's how I decide like what I want to read. And it's been good. I mean, granted, we are only like 19 days into the year, but that's okay. It's all right. January typically for me feels like the longest month of the year, and January is flying by. Not sure what that's about, but I you know, it is what it is. All right, so enough of that. Let's talk about the 3 books that we have. So on audio, checked out from a library, I have Warrior, Princess, Assassin by Bridget Kimmerer. I have read Bridget before. I've read A Curse of Dark and Lonely, and actually like really ended up enjoying it more than what I thought I was. I think I ended up giving it 4 stars. So when I saw that this was coming out last year, I was like, oh, I'm gonna put myself on hold. The hold came through, the audio came through, and I just kept not declining it, but I kept going back on it, because once again, y'all are gonna hate me for it. November and December just were not great. They weren't great. So Barnes & Noble literally just had their 50% hardcover sale, and this was one of the books that was 50% off, and so it was nice to get an adult hardcover for the price of like a children's hardcover book, because that, you know, that doesn't happen. And it's a Barnes & Noble exclusive edition, which the pretty sprayed edges, nothing else besides that, the pretty sprayed edges. And I don't know if the color of the book itself has been changed. I don't know exactly much about this except that princess and assassins, right? That's about as good as it gets for me in terms of understanding what this one is about. I will probably do a blended read of this one since I already have the audio, and I think after I'm in the process of reading or listening to a middle grade contemporary fantasy right now, and I'm about 20% into that, so I probably will finish that first before I completely and totally dive into this one. But I think this is going to be my first audio pick for the week. Now, physically, we are going to try to make it through this beast. Okay, I am nervous about this book because it is a little bit on the she's a thick one. She's kind of on the thicker side, but I am still excited to read it. She's over 500 pages, and that is The Wind Weaver by Julie Johnson. This is one, I talked about this in my last vlog. I've been waiting so patiently for this book. I have been waiting very, very patiently for this book, and I am happy that I finally got it. I've heard really good things about it. It deals with prophecy, a fallen kingdom, and I think that it has some travel aspects to it. This is another one that I've heard good things about, and I've been told that I will enjoy it. And so I'm just going to go into it and read it for what it is. Now, this is one that I probably will start tonight. And I'm doing a horrible job describing these books. I'm not describing them at all. If you can't tell, I'm not describing them. These are just books that I've heard good things about, that I've been told that I might like, and so we're going to go with it. So we're going to do The Wind Weaver. I probably will, let's see how many chapters are in this book. And we're doing this over the course of like how many days? I don't know. And of course it doesn't have, that's the one thing about books now. Like, they don't have chapters in the front of the book ever. And let me not spoil. Okay, 33 chapters. Let's do the math on that. Math was never the subject for me. I'm not made for math, and math was not made for me. Let's see. Let's be honest. Let's do 33 divided by 6. All right, so we're looking at 5.5 chapters per day. We can do this. We can do this. But this is going to be the one that I'm going to read physically. And then I must get to this. Our Vicious Oaths by M.E. Davenport. I've heard nothing but amazing things about this book. Now, I was going to do this one physically as well, but because Wind Weaver is so long, what I may do is I will get the audio copy of this one as well. I think I will get the audio copy of this one, and we will call it a day. I think I will do Warrior Princess, Assassin, and Our Vicious Oaths, both on audio. Wind Weaver I will do physically, and depending upon how things go, because I don't want to put too much on myself, depending upon how things go, what I may do is look for another teen fantasy romance, because I have quite a few up here, y'all. Like, there are quite a few up here that I think I can readily choose from, and get another special edition kind of knocked off. So we'll see what ends up happening. So the first thing on my list is to finish that middle grade book on audio first. We're going to do 5 chapters of The Wind Weaver tonight, which I need a bookmark, because all my bookmarks, my partner took some of my bookmarks, so I told him, I was like, take some, because I don't ever use them. And now I'm like, what do I do with all the bookmarks that I get that I don't even freaking use? They just be out here. Oh, you know what? Do I want to use the pigeon? Oh, okay. We'll use the Alice in Wonderland thing. And 5 chapters of this is not even, I thought 5 chapters of this was finna be long. It's only 50 pages. That's not bad. We can do 50 pages. I'm gonna take that dust jacket off too, because it's just gonna irritate me like no other. Okay, so 50 pages of that is what we are going to focus on tonight. Finishing that middle grade contemporary fantasy, and then when I finish the middle grade contemporary fantasy, we will dive right into Warrior Princess Assassin and go from there. Our Vicious Oaths, I think I have a Libro FM credit. I probably will look for the audio of this as well. I heard that she had to fight to get the dual narration on this, and I heard that the dual narration is really, really good. I'm just thinking about the fact that there's a fae in this book with a grill. That's all listen, say less. Say less. That's all I needed to know, is that there's a fae with a grill. Okay. All right, y'all. That is it. I have some other things on here that are part of my TBR for the week that are not related to fantasy romance that I need to get done, that I want to get done. And so we're going to go with that. All right. That is it. Peace, deuces. I will be back when I have an update. Hello. Good morning. I'm going to do this really, really quick because I was running behind schedule. I'm not late. I just like to be earlier than what I am at work today. And everybody on the road was driving like they had absolutely no sense. And I'm so confused by that. Like, why are we not being safe when we're on the road? Because it's not just us on the road, it's other people that have to go home to their family and friends. Like, stop driving recklessly. It happens when you live in an area that is full of college students. Nobody's frontal lobe is developed, and so we drive like we are bats out of hell. Whatever. I just wanted to do a really, really quick check-in to let you all know that I did start Warrior Princess Assassin, and I did start Windweaver. So no one told me about a Warrior Princess Assassin, and I almost don't want to say what it is. Well, I don't know if it's a spoiler or not, but I'm going to withhold saying what it is that I'm excited about, because I don't know if it's potentially a spoiler or maybe it's information that is just out there. But it literally is about a warrior, a princess, an assassin. We have a princess that is being betrothed to the warrior, and essentially it's a deal that was kind of brokered at the hand of her brother, but this warrior / it is a king, is able to wield magic, and his magic is fire based, and he has a reputation for not being the kindest person, meaning that he'll burn everything down in his path if he doesn't like it. He'll burn like people that he's supposed to be engaged to, whatever. Like, so she has a legitimate fear as to why she's kind of like, she's hesitant to get engaged to this man, but she knows that based off of some politics that have happened in this world, it is best suited for her kingdom and this other kingdom to be joined together. And so she kind of has to accept her fate. And then we also have an assassin. His name is Asher. And Asher and Jory were friends growing up. They grew up together, but there were some things that happened that didn't ruin their relationship, but made it more difficult for, I think, their friendship to exist in a public sense. And let's just say that Asher is no fan of Jory's father. So there's a lot between those two specific families. And now Asher works as a assassin, and Kai is the king. I think he goes by Kai, and the two of these men have very different personalities, and I'm very particular about that. Now, I know that this is going to read as a love triangle. I am here to say that it is not. But it does read as a love triangle at first. But one of the things about me, when you're introducing multiple men and multiple women in a book, or multiple characters in general, right? You have to be very mindful, for me as a reader, because I need each character have a very distinct personality. And thankfully in this, the way that Bridget Kimmerer has done it, every character is very unique in their personality, and so the voices don't get lost within the context of the book. Nobody is necessarily reading alike, and I appreciate that. So yes, I am working through that one. I'm 22% in. I don't have any meetings on my schedule today, so that means that I will be predominantly focusing on this audiobook. Now, I have a couple other audiobooks checked out, but we're going to work our way through this one today and see where I land, and see maybe if I can get one or two more audiobooks in before this vlog ends. Now, with fantasy, I always go slower with my audiobooks because I want to make sure that I am well adjusted to the world building. Now, the physical book I'm reading right now is Windweaver by Julie Johnson, and it is an interesting book. I'm almost about 80 pages into it. I'm hoping to get through a huge chunk of it today during my lunch break, because I will sit down and I will read it physically during my lunch break, which is what I did yesterday and a little bit last night. Wind Weaver is unique, and I see where the criticism, so I've seen a couple of criticisms of Wind Weaver where, one, it starts off really, really rough, right? So we're following our main character, and she is a halfling. And we are existing in a world where they should not exist. There is a lot of bias against them. They are not welcome amongst humans. And so in the opening scene, basically our main character is like very close to being killed. And then someone comes along and they save her, I guess, because it's kind of like a rescuer / captor situation going on. The thing about it is that they're taking this journey together, at least where I'm at right now. They're taking this journey together, and it's over the course of about maybe 3 to 4 days. She knows nothing. She doesn't understand what's happening, who this man is. She knows nothing. She knows absolutely nothing. Because she knows nothing, you as a reader know nothing as well. This is one of those fantasy books where I think you have to just trust the process, and things will be revealed as they are revealed to her, right? So I think the frustrating thing is that because of the way that it's written, you're not giving an omni type of perspective. You don't get to see everything. If she's confused, so are you. If you don't know what's going on, if she doesn't know what's going on, neither will you. So it's really fascinating, but I'm hoping that some things will get revealed soon. We'll see in a little while. But once I make some progress, what I probably will do this evening is checking, because I do need to go ahead and hop in and get into this office. But yeah, I just wanted to get us started, just so you know that I have started both of my books, because I finished my middle grade fantasy yesterday. I have thoughts, but you will hear my wrap up. But I have thoughts about that one, but I just want you to know that I did start the journey on these other 2 books. So I will hop in and we'll talk more about that later. Hi. So I don't know when I did. Well, I do know when I did. Well, actually, I don't know. I've only done 2 check-ins in this, and it's just, I've been reading and not checking in. So now here we are on a Friday, and I'm going to be adding clips Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in hopes of giving this vlog some, I don't know, some oomph to it, because I haven't really been updating y'all. I think the last update that I gave you, I was talking about how I started. No, I don't even think I had started Warrior Princess Assassin. Maybe I did. I didn't. I know why I didn't, because I had a middle grade fantasy that I was going to finish. And I think I finished the middle grade fantasy, and then I was going to start Warrior Princess Assassin. I think that's the way that clip went. I literally could have watched a clip on my phone. Did I do it? Absolutely not. So there's that. So quick updates. Some of the things relevant in terms to me reading fantasy romance this week. Some things not necessarily relevant. I did finish this manga already this week. I finished that middle grade fantasy this week. But I'm sure y'all want to hear, like, what have I been reading fantasy romance related. So let's do with progress updates first. Oh, I forgot to add this. I am still chipping away at the center. I finally have gotten to a place in the center that feels, well, I had gotten to a place in the center where I felt like it was more leveled out. And then I got to a scene now that I think it's going to completely go left. I genuinely, I don't even want to do a standalone review of this, but honestly, when it comes time for me to review this on Goodreads, I don't think I'm going to give it a rating, because I don't know what to do with this book, because it says it's a dark college romance. I don't feel like it's a romance in the character's eyes, but I don't feel like it's genuinely a romance. It's very, very toxic. 2 people who have been like really, really impacted by adults in their life from the time that they were kids, and it's informed how they've grown up into adults, and it's not good. It's a compelling read in the sense that there's so much going on that I can't look away, but there's so much going on that I can only read this in chunks. So I'm doing probably anywhere between 50 to 100 pages of this at a time. There are some days when I can really fly through it, and then there are other days when I'm like, yeah, I could do about 50 pages and I can't really touch it after that. But this week I did get up to page 307, which is almost halfway through. Like I said before, my goal is to finish this by the end of the month, which is next week. So is it next week? Is it end of the month next week? Yes, it is, because January 30th is on Friday. So my goal is to finish this by next week. I think I will be able to read the rest of this by the end of next week. I don't know if in February I'm going to continue with the next book in the series, or if I'm going to give myself a little break. It depends on how this one ends. I think that if you've read The Ritual and you thought The Ritual was dark, The Ritual is nothing compared to this book. And I thought The Ritual was the darkest thing that I had ever read, but now reading The Sinner, it makes The Ritual feel mild, which I think is gonna kind of ruin me for the rest of dark romance, because at this point, like, I don't think anything will get as dark as The Sinner. If it goes beyond what The Sinner's already doing, it's probably stuff that I'm not gonna even feel comfortable reading, because this is already towing kind of a line for me, especially because the book is very much so deep-rooted in trauma. As the author has stated, and I'm going to keep saying this, read the triggers for this. Read the triggers before you pick. Do not go into this book not knowing what you're getting yourself into at all. Just don't do it. So, but I have been making progress with that. I've also been making progress with The Wind Weaver. I took the dust jacket off of it, but I am currently 173 pages into The Wind Weaver. My end game is to have this finished before the weekend is over with. Granted, that is a big ask of me because it is over 500 pages. I'm having a memory kind of thing happen here. I did talk about this book because I talked about the fact that people were complaining about the fact that we're following a main character and you're confused for a good portion of the book because you don't know what she doesn't know, because it's told through her perspective, and you don't have this kind of like omni perspective where you know things about her that she doesn't know about herself. You're in her shoes, so you don't know anything. And I think for some people that can be an issue, but for me, I'm just kind of going with the flow and it's working for me. I think that this is a good example of what I expect whenever I pick up romantasy. Now, this was in Fairy Loot's romantasy box, but this right now for me is leaning heavily in the fantasy elements, and I'm liking that. So we're getting really, really intricate world building, very intricate character development. Things are being paced in a way that I enjoy. But if you're looking for something that is like, and I'm just using this as an example because it's the first thing that comes to mind. What is the book that everybody, now I'm thinking about the fact that I can't even remember the name of the book. The dystopian book. I'll put a cover on the screen because it's not coming to my mind. I've erased that book from my mind. If you're looking for something like that, where the speculative aspect of the book is simply serving as the backdrop to the book, this is not something that I think you may enjoy. I am at a part where some smaller elements of who she is are getting revealed, but we still don't have a full picture. So as a reader, I'm still kind of just as lost as she is. She doesn't really understand the world around her, so neither do I. As other characters are describing the different kingdoms, because she's in the northern part of this world, and as they're describing the different kingdoms, she's kind of navigating that herself because she did not have any knowledge of how these different communities existed, how they worked, or whatever the case may be. So it's an interesting choice that Julie took in the way that she's written this book, but I'm not mad at it. We're dealing with Fae. We are dealing with a world where Fae are not wanted. There's been a culling, so people discriminate against Fae, they kill Fae, and our main character is a halfling, and so she grew up in a community where they tolerated her being a halfling, but she didn't really fit in, but she doesn't really know much about herself. And so far we're only getting glimpses of this relationship that she's had with this person that took care of her as a kid, right? So we don't know anything about her, like her lineage, like who her parents were. She appears to maybe have some magical abilities, but she's in denial about it, so we're not really seeing it because she doesn't want to tap into it. But I think in the next 100 pages or so, we're going to see kind of a shift in her knowledge of what's going on around her, and knowledge about herself, which I think will broaden the landscape of the book. So like I said, I'm enjoying it. It's super accessible. I'm taking my time with it, but it's good so far. Like I really have no complaints. The next thing that I started, and I have to look at, because I'm listening to this one on audio, and I don't know where I'm at physically in the book. I had a credit with Libro FM, and so I was listening, or I've been listening to it on audiobook. I'm not very far, actually, now that I see. I'm only on chapter 7, and I don't have my bookmark, or have a bookmark. I'm only on chapter 7, which is a little under 100 pages into Our Vicious Oaths by N.E. Davenport. This is interesting. This is also dealing with fae. I think at some point I'm gonna have to pick up a fantasy romance or romantasy where fae are not involved. I'm reading a lot of fae books this week. Maybe there should have been like a book about fairies, or a week of reading about fairies, because I want to do a reading vlog where I spend the week reading about dragons. And I have a couple of books lined up for that, where they will all be dragon based books, and I think that'll be fun. But this is another one that's about fae, but this is a black romantasy, and romantasy as a genre, we don't really have a lot of representation in romantasy in terms of authors and characters. They do exist, but of course overwhelmingly it's not a diverse like subgenre. So it was nice to see N.E. Davenport work with romantasy in a different way, and her dedication specifically says hold on. This one is for all the black fantasy readers, including myself, who've always loved an epic story with fae who are as beautiful as they are vicious. The fae are melanated in this book. For the romance gang who goes pharaoh over a morally gray, sometimes morally pitch black MMC who wears power like a second skin. I shamelessly wrote this one for us too, so that dedication was really, really nice. So we are following a main character by the name of Khadijah, who is supposed to get married off. She doesn't want to have anything to do with fae politics, but her dad is like, you have to marry this person to secure this alliance and blah 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 blah, because that's typically how it goes with any type of political books. But she is so frustrated by it. The first night after meeting this man, she goes to a sex club, and see, people told me that this book immediately, the heat level on it was high, and I was like, oh, okay, whatever. No. I literally had just started the book, and I got to the scene where they're in the sex club, and I was like, wait, the book just started. So she's really, really frustrated. She's irritated. And it's her last night of freedom, so she decides that she's going to go, and she meets our secondary character, because it's told in dual POV, Malachi. And Malachi also is kind of dealing with fae politics on his own end, but he kind of has to do it in a way that I like, where it's screw everybody, I'm taking over because I'm going to take what's rightfully mine. And so the two of them meet. Chemistry is insane. They have this time together, and the guy that she is betrothed to, and let me check the back because I don't want to mess this up and give you a spoiler, so I want to make sure that it is in fact in the summary. Okay, so on the day that she does get married, this is on the back of the book, something goes completely wrong. And from the way that I read in the summary on the back, I held somebody responsible for the death of her father that's not responsible. Whatever the case may be, her father is killed. Malachi and his special forces come in, and Khadijah's like, okay, so what's about to happen? Takes her hostage. and it's like, we're about to make this thing happen. So this is a enemies to lovers trope, where they do not like each other, they do not get along, but in some aspects they do have to work together. But there's this undeniable chemistry between the two of them, which of course we naturally get because the first time that Malachi and Khadijah meet is when they're in that set club. And so I'm about at that point where we're getting a little bit more of an explanation of the Fae politics in this and how the courts are working and who rules what, and I'm enjoying it. I'm also hoping to finish this one, but it's over 500 pages long, but it is a standalone. It's one of the few romantasy standalones that I'm familiar with. I'm sure there's more out there, but everything that I've read so far has just been a sequel. I mean, it's been a series, at minimum a duology, but this is a standalone, and so I'm interested to see how Annie Davenport is going to structure this, because I feel like with a lot of romantasy, we specifically lean on it being a duology or a series. But so far so good. I am enjoying that. And the one thing that I have finished so far, so I've been reading a lot, I just haven't, everything's long this week. I think last week I read books that were shorter, that were in between 300 to 400. I think the longest book I read last week was Thorn Season, and that was a little over 400. This week I have 2 books that are over 500 pages. And then the one that I did end up finishing was a little over 400 pages, and that was Warrior Princess Assassin by Bridget Kemmerer. I literally just got this book last weekend and I finished it this week. I'm very proud of myself. That means I didn't have a book get put on my shelf and it got added to my unread TBR. This is a book that I did buy and immediately finish, and it was almost a 5-star read. I didn't know how I was going to feel about it, but I looked at the reviews before I bought it, and people that I trust really enjoyed it. So I was like, okay, I'm taking a risk here. But I also have read Bridget Kemmerer before, but I've read her YA stuff, and I did like A Curse So Dark and Lovely, and I gave that 4 stars when I read it. I did not know much about this book going into it. I knew that it got Fair Loot treatment last year, and people were talking about it, and I know this is Bridget's first step into adult fantasy, which is why it didn't get a full 5 stars from me. But it literally focuses on 3 characters: a warrior, a princess, and an assassin. The warrior is Asher, the princess is Jory, the warrior is Kai, the princess is Jory, and the assassin is Asher. And we meet Jory at the beginning of the book, which I think now the more romantasy I read, the betrothal thing is not like super far-fetched. It becomes a big part of the court intrigue or the politics of the book. And so Jory is betrothed, or she's being forced essentially to marry Kai. Now, she's only heard horrible things about Kai. Kai has this magical ability where he can call fire, so he can start fire. But there's something, I don't want to spoil it because there's something interesting about how he can play with fire, because it's something that he can do with fire, but he can't do I won't get into it, but he has an interesting ability to do with fire. And so Jory's brother, to help build an alliance between his kingdom and Kai's kingdom, says that Jory must marry Kai. Well, Jory doesn't want to marry Kai. She has kind of a, like, I don't want to say a schoolgirl crush, but almost like a childhood friends to lovers thing going on with Asher. So her and Asher grew up together. Their families were really close, but a situation happened where Jory's mother ends up dying. Asher's mother ends up surviving, and it looked like a setup in which Jory's mother was set out to die, or to be killed. And so Asher gets sent away to slavers, actually, when it's all said and done, about the multiple times that he was exchanged in different situations. So the two of them are not supposed to have any type of communication, connection with each other, whatever, but they grew up together, and so it's kind of hard to sever those bonds. And so it's clear that Jory has feelings for Asher in some capacity. And at some point they have to draw the line because she's about to be a married woman. And so when Kai comes, clearly Kai is nothing like Jory expected. And then we find out that somebody has put a hit out on both Jory and Kai. And it's made to look like Asher fucking did it. It's a very weird, like Asher, like it is almost, it looks as if Asher is involved in some way. And so the three of them essentially go on the run together. First of all, nobody told me. I thought this was going to be a love triangle, which is really going to piss me off because I don't do well with love triangles. Because I think it takes a very skilled author to write a love triangle, and I don't think every author can do a love triangle. I was like, okay, well, maybe this is like a why choose. No, this is a poly romance. And it's not a spoiler. I'm done with it. Like, it's not a spoiler. Nobody told me that this was poly, and child, I had a time. And I think almost it's harder to write a poly. I talked with a coworker about this today, and I agree. It's harder to write, I think, a poly romance than it is to write a why choose, because it's not just about Jory possibly being with Kai or possibly being with Asher. It's also about Jory, Kai, Jory, Asher, Asher, and Kai. And let me tell you, I'm gonna be upfront like a lot of reviewers. Asher and Kai are my babies. If Jory wasn't a part of this throuple, I wouldn't have been mad, because the romantic and sexual tension between Asher and Kai, when I tell you that had me excited more than anything, when Jory would get involved, I'm like, girl, please, you were in the way. Don't you see these two are trying to have something between the two of them, and you just get in the, she didn't get in the way. I think that was my biggest criticism, is that one, I thought the pacing was kind of off in a couple of areas. And two, I think that because Bridget is so used to writing a younger heroine, that Joy read younger. And I know that part of it also can do with the fact that Jory is like really, really sheltered. She doesn't really know much about the world around her at all. And so she's older, but sometimes she feels quite young. But I also think that although I felt like all three of them were greatly developed characters, Jory I wasn't mad when Jory was not the center of what was going on. I had these small moments where Kai and Asher were trying to figure shit out, and it was delectable. And there was a point when Kai told Asher, like, I'm not competing with you for her. And Asher was just like, what does he mean? Oh, it's because Jory already loves me. No, stupid. Saying he's not competing with you for her because he wants your ass too. It was so good. And this is a slow burn. So if you're looking for that immediately, like 20% in and everybody smashing, I hate to break it to you, but you're not going to get none of that till about 90% in. And I love a good slow burn. I love a good slow burn romance. I love the tension, the things that make me angsty, and just, aren't we, like, I love that feeling that kind of keep me on the edge of my seat. And then everything just works out the way I want it to. So if you're not a fan of that, I don't know how this romance may or may not work for you, especially because you don't really get into any of that until 90% of the book. I will say that the twists and turns in this one were good, but there was one specific plot twist that I think was a little apparent. I don't know if it was because it just made sense in my head, or if it was because of how she developed the character, that I was like, okay, well, yeah, it makes sense that they would do that. But there was another character that was involved in that twist in relationship to the other character, and I didn't see that part coming. So it was kind of a layered plot twist. And now that there were some statements made by all three characters at the end, I understand, hold up, because we're going to do this. Because I was like, oh, okay, well, when does... it's been a while since I have read an adult fantasy and have anxiously been like, oh gosh, when is the sequel coming out? So the sequel to this book does not drop until fall of this year, which is it just got changed. I could have sworn it was October. It's not coming out to November 5th of this year, and it's called Captive Traitor King. And now that title makes a lot of sense after the conclusion of this book. Bridget did her big one with this. This is a book I would reread, and I probably will read this again. Since I listened to it on audio, I probably will read it again physically before the book drops. The second book drops in November. But well worth it. Almost a 5-star book. This is I think the highest rated book, like novel, that I've read. I've read a 5-star graphic novel this year, but this is the highest rated novel that I've read so far. Some other things I checked out 4 romantasy books from the library as well, because that's just the energy that I'm on. I don't think that I'm not gonna finish all of these. There's no way. However, with the snow ice storm thing hitting a whole bunch of people on the East Coast, I already know that I'm not going to be working on Monday, so I may get more done than what I anticipate. I picked up The Sleepless by Jen Williams. This is a young adult fantasy romance. This one I think was I can't remember if this is Owl Crate or Fairy Loot, but early reviews on this weren't great, and so I didn't check it out, but I do have, or I didn't get it, I skipped, but I do have the audio version of this on Libro, so I may do that. I also on Libby have the audio of Cruel Thirst by Angela Montoya checked out. Angela Montoya has been doing a lot of fantasy romance and young adult, but I've yet to read her, and I'm more inclined to check this one out than any of the 4, only because I've been waiting to get into her stuff, and her 3rd book I think comes out this year, and I need to go ahead and read her because I just haven't explored her stuff yet. I have Graceless Heart. This one I have from Libro FM as well. This one has gotten a couple of special treatments. I can't remember if Fairy Loot or Owl Crate has done this already, but the regular edition of it is also very pretty. This also hasn't been getting like the best early reviews, and when I say early reviews, like I mean like with these books releasing, they're quickly below 1 random arbitrary number. A lot of them are like 3.6, 3.7, which to me means that we have mixed feelings about it. But Graceless Heart, I think the cover is really, really pretty on this one. And then I got Rings of Fate by Melissa De La Cruz, which this one as well I have on audio from Libro FM, so I thought that I would just check out the physical copy from the library as well to follow along. This one has political intrigue in it. It follows a main character that's a barmaid and a hero who's a prince cursed to live in a fairy tale. So that one's interesting. Graceless Heart. Let's see, a sculptress. That's different. Oh, desperate to save her brother, she enters a competition. So this is a competition hosted in Florence, Italy, and it's an immortal family. So I wonder if this has vampires in it. Not sure, but whenever I hear immortals, I think vampires. A Cruel Thirst, clearly from the cover, this is about vampires. And I'm not sure where it takes place, but it's a vampire hunter and an actual vampire who fall in love with each other. And then The Sleepless is a gods and monsters romantic fantasy. God killer meets powerless. I don't like when they do this. See, when I read, what was the book that I read? The dragon book that I read, and A Language of Dragons. That was comped as Fourth Wing meets Babel. It's a horrible comping. Like, stop using adult books to comp teen books. I absolutely hate that, because what it does is that it can push teen readers into checking out books that content-wise they may not be ready for. Like, God Killer is not a young adult book. Powerless is. But that mixing and comping for me always like throws me off. Like, when did we start using adult books to comp teen books. That's a whole different conversation for another day, and how I feel about how they're ruining YA. Because let me tell y'all something too. Melissa De La Cruz wrote a teen fantasy book this year that had an explicit, it's coming out in March, had an explicit sex scene at the end that threw every major pub reviewing, like Kirkus, Publishers Weekly, School Library, threw everyone off. Like, well, who's the intended audience when you threw a highly explicit sex scene at the end? So, not fade to back, just straight sex at the end of the book. So I will be talking about that when that book comes out in March. But that's it. That was a lot. It's like a 20-something clip. Holy crap, my mouth is dry. Thank you. All right, y'all. That's it. I can't talk anymore. That's it for the check-in. If anything, well, we know that this video will at least be 45 minutes long. I promise I'll try to get some other footage outside of me just yapping my mouth. But when I do finish something or I make some progress, I will do another check-in.
I saw no shadow. I looked around, searched every building and home that I found. I saw no shadow, but felt a glow. The warmth inside me kept me afloat. It felt like heaven had found my bones and gave me comfort when I feel alone. Now you're gone, I'm alone. I guess it's time to get better. Through the pain, I will go alone. If I fall, break my bones, I will scream even louder. 'Cause I'm not dying alone. I lost my best friend to 23. She left her body and hovered above me.
I forgot what was going on with my hair just now. Alright, y'all. Let's do a check-in. Let's talk about where we're at. Do I know where I'm at right now? No. Has this turned into another 2-week vlog? Yes. I think the last update I did, it was like 20-something minutes long. And I was talking about 1,000,001 different things. And it was, I was in the bed, getting ready to go to bed. And that was this weekend. And I knew that I was like, it's going to be another 2-week vlog. Because I just didn't update all week. I needed to come in here and update again because I was like, I cannot go more time without doing anything, without updating. Here's the thing. I have been reading, but it feels like I've been reading and not getting anything accomplished. Also, when I started this vlog, it was like, this is going to be a romantasy reading vlog. Yeah, no. My reading has gone all over the place for a couple of different reasons. One being, I think it's so hard sometimes for me to stay on task because I'm a mood reader and I am also back into the swing of reading, and so I want to read everything, and so my attention gets diverted very, very easily and also very, very quickly. So there's that. I have been reading, like this week, this past week, I did end up finishing. What did I end up finishing? I finished a manga. I finished Warrior Princess Assassin, which I talked about. And then I finished that middle grade fantasy, The Ordinary and Extraordinary Odd and Green. So I finished those things. Now, yesterday, which was Monday, the Youth Media Awards were announced, which means that all of the most prestigious awards in children's literature and teen literature were given out yesterday. Which means that I then am put into this situation where I try to read so much of that content that I try to read so much of that content that it just ends up being a very interesting type of situation. So it's not that I'm still not in the mood to read fantasy, romance, romantasy, whatever you want to call it. But my reading has also diverted into 1,000,001 different areas. So let's start and talk about where I'm at right now and what I've made progress on. I actually also today randomly started listening to Hunger Like No Other, which is the first Immortals After Dark book. I don't know where my copy is. It's probably downstairs somewhere, probably from a time that I was doing an update. But I'm almost 50% into that book. So I don't know if I'm going to finish this book before this vlog goes up. but I'm hoping to finish it because I would love to finish it before the month ends. That way next month, if I decide, I can go ahead and pick up the next book in the series. I have continued to read The Wind Weaver. This is the one that I've been reading physically and taking my time with. I'm almost 200 pages into this one. This is good, but it is definitely heavy on the fantasy. And so I know with me with fantasy, I always read it slower. And because this is so fantasy heavy in the beginning, I think we're going to get to a point where we are going to delve into possible romantic interests. I kind of see that building now. This is definitely fantasy forward for right now, which means that I have to read it slower. But yeah, I am almost 200 pages in. I don't know if I'm going to get to that one tonight. I actually don't even know if I'm going to finish that before this vlog ends. I really would like to wrap some of this stuff up though, because I don't want to keep carrying things over into February. I don't want to do that. I'm also getting really cotton mouth. Next book, which I need to put a bookmark in this because I don't know why I don't have a bookmark in it. And I'm super far into this book. Further than what I anticipated. I think I'm this far. I actually could be, actually could be further along than this, but that last sentence looked familiar. Okay. I'm 451 pages into the center. This one I'm going to finish before the month ends. This is really easy to read. It does not take me much to read this book, and I literally only have this much of this book left. I don't know where this is going. I have no idea where this is going, but I have to do this one in chunks because of how heavy it is. But I'm almost finished with this one. Now, this is going to be the kicker. This is going to make all of you go like, girl, what? I had 2 hours left of this audiobook. Just 2. I'm going to start this book over. And the reason why I'm going to start this book over is because I can't listen to this on audio. I think I got the gist of this book on audio. I think I understood what was happening. Like, I understood that Khadijah lost her family. It was a setup. She was forced to marry this, or she was forced to be in a situation with Malachi, and Malachi is essentially holding her hostage because they're trying to play on the secondary guy that Khadijah was betrothed to, right? Everything was a setup essentially so that Malachi could gain more power. What I was noticing is that there's more intricacies in the Fae politics in this one than I was giving myself the space to recognize. And I realized I got to a certain point in the book and I was like, I think I'm confused. And it's not the author. It's not the book itself. It's me. And this is one of those books that, though it is hot and heavy and steamy, the politics of this book, I can't do it on audio. I can't. I think that what I am slowly learning, which is to my own detriment here, I cannot do fantasy on audio like that. I don't know why I was able to do Warrior Princess Assassin on audio, but I'm starting to feel like fantasy for me, I don't know what it is. I think it's just too much going on. And especially like if it's, let me put it this way. I think if it's true romantasy, right? If it's romance forward, I think I'm fine. If it leans into the fantastical elements very heavily and it is a true fantasy romance, I don't think I can do it on audio unless I do it as a blended read. I just don't think I am capable of doing that. And so I had gotten 3 other books that I think I showed you in the last clip that I'm interested in reading, and I have the audio for all 3 of those books, but I think that I may just have to do a blended read, or I'm gonna have to read them physically. Like I just don't think that I'm capable of doing it in the way that I thought I was. So I skimmed kind of through the first couple chapters, and felt like I was good, and made the executive decision that I'm going to start back at chapter 5 in this. And I know that's so wild for me to be like, I literally was finished with this book almost, and I decided that I'm going to go back. And the reason why is because I don't think I could give it a fair assessment or fair review. And I've started to realize that I'm like, I don't think that I can correctly critique or praise this book without restarting it. So that's where we're at with that. Kind of low-key like hurt my own feelings, because like, dang, I made it really far in that book and I'm about to start it all over again. But kind of one of those things where it is what it is. I finished 2 things today that are not related, that are not fantasy romantasy related at all, but I did end up finishing No Rules Tonight, which is a graphic novel that is connected to the Banned Book Club graphic novel, and I didn't realize that they're not, I think you can read them as standalones, but you get more of a reward when you read them in order, because it deals with characters that are first introduced in the Banned Book Club. And so I ended up reading Banned Book Club a couple years back, I think, for a comic book club pick, and then I went to go read Good Old-Fashioned Korean Spirit, not realizing that it was characters from both Banned Book Club and No Rules Tonight. So I went back to read No Rules Tonight. I'm waiting for my copy of Good Old-Fashioned Korean Spirit to come back in, but I did finish that graphic novel and gave it 4 stars. As I start my read of some of the award winners from the Youth Media Awards, I decided to go ahead yesterday and start that process of reading some of them. So I finished Neshama by Marcella Pixley. It's a middle grade it's a contemporary, it almost feels like a contemporary paranormal book where the main character can speak to ghosts. But it has a lot to do with bullying and anti-Semitism. It was heavy for a short middle grade book written in verse. That was a heavy one. So I read that one, and then I also started on audio Octopus Moon by Bobby Pyron, which I think, because I'm doing Patreon sprints right now, right? And I'm completely like not doing well on this first sprint because I'm sitting here filming this clip and looking at the clock. It's already been 10 minutes. And I have to start getting ready for bed. I have a 2.5 hour drive that I have to make tomorrow for work. And so I may just go ahead and finish Octopus Moon during that drive. I also started A World Without Summer, A Volcano Erupts, which I think, you know what? So editing me won't be too aggravated because I know how I can get. And I'd be getting in my feelings about stuff. This is a physical book, A World Without Summer. This one won 2 awards yesterday. One was for children's nonfiction and the other was for teen nonfiction, which I thought was interesting. It literally is about the eruption of a volcano called Tambora and how it impacted the entire globe. This is a very interesting middle grade nonfiction because the way it's told is narrative nonfiction, but it also has like pictures and stuff in it, which makes it super accessible. So I'm hoping to get more of this read. I'm 50 pages in. It's a really, really quick read. So there is that. And then if that wasn't enough, I'm about to start Before I Let Go. I'm not going to really talk about this. This will be my one time probably mentioning it. Because I'm doing this for a patron vlog where I am reading down my book of the month picks. I filmed a video and had them choose from 5. They voted on Before I Let Go and what was the second highest? The Love Hypothesis. So I also will be reading both of those. I don't know. I think my partner and I also are supposed to, we're going to start Harley LaRue's book sometime soon. Her soul to take. DNF'd Caught Up. I was done with Caught Up. I DNF'd it. I was done with it. He's still going to continue to go back to it at some point, but I'm not doing it. I refuse. So those are my updates. I don't know what I'm going to read. And this sprint ends in literally like 40 minutes. So I got to find something. And I gotta find something soon. So I'm gonna do that. Try to get my life together. I filmed my comic book club picks for for the year. It's already rendered. I just have to upload it to YouTube. That will go up tomorrow, and then I'm gonna do a new releases video that will go up on Friday. This vlog will go up on Sunday, and then we've got some content planned and stuff. I've got all of my spreadsheets except for the books that I finished today. All of my spreadsheets are up to date. All of my stuff is up to date. I feel good. We didn't have school or work yesterday because it was a snow day, and you would think like, oh, that would have been a perfect day to read, but I didn't read. I use it as a productivity day to get some stuff done, which is what I needed. So today was my first day back at work. But yes, I'm gonna read. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take a bath. I'm going to, goodness gracious, what am I gonna read? You know what? I think oh God, I know what I should read, but because I'm anxious to figure out what's happening to my two characters in this one, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna read a little bit of The Sinner and see where it goes. I probably won't update again tonight because once I get ready for bed, I'm gonna do 1 more hour sprint with my patrons, and then that's like it for me for tonight, y'all. Because I have to be up early. I gotta get my kid to school a little bit earlier, and then I have to immediately get on the road and make this 2.5 hour drive, which I did not realize it was 2.5 hours. It's a long drive. I really don't want to do it, but I gotta do it. All right, I will check in with y'all probably at some point tomorrow. I'll have an update and I'll check in with y'all tomorrow.
You're just standing on the cusp of what's okay and not morally gray, textbook insane. Now I'd like to draw this line you've crossed so many times. At this point I'm out of my mind. What's the point in loving someone morally confusing? It's not likely. You're so unlike me.
Alright, y'all, I'm here to do this final clip. I know I sound like trash. I look like trash because I feel like trash, so it is what it is. I have made no progress on anything. Nothing. Nada. Which is, I mean, that's not completely true. I didn't make any progress on anything that I was supposed to make progress on. So I was reading lots and lots of things, but primarily what I was reading is things related to the Youth Media Awards, which I didn't even think about the fact that by the time that I was going to be doing this vlog, most of what my reading would turn into would be a part of the Youth Media Awards. So I did end up finishing Octopus Moon, which I thought was a really, really great middle grade title with representation of depression. I have not seen, or I haven't come across myself personally, one that I think that has done it as well as Octopus Moon. So I did finish that, and then I ended up reading 2 tween romances for work, both of them by Lee Hart, which I'm pretty sure is a pen name. The first one being Meet Me at Sunset, and the other being Written in the Stars. And these are both part of the Spotlight Sprinkle series. I have the third one downstairs, which I'm probably going to end up reading sometime in February, but I am trying to consume as many of these as I can so I can come up with some type of recommendation list for tween romances, because they are out there, and I mean, it'd be the preference for those kiddos to be reading that instead of Colleen Hoover. So I did end up finishing one of the award winners. It is A World Without Summer, A Volcano Erupts, A Creature Awakens, and The Sun Goes Out by Nicholas Day, with art by Yaz Imamura. This is the second book that Nicholas Day has done that's gotten the Cybert Award, which is the Children's Award for Nonfiction. The first one he got it for was The Mona Lisa Vanishes. That was the name of the book. This one was really, really good. He tied in a lot of interesting information about the year without summer, and I knew absolutely nothing about it. It was a volcano that erupted in what is now considered to be it's Tambora, and I can't remember where that is with modern day. It is modern day Indonesia, and what ended up happening was a climate shift, and the entire globe was impacted by the eruption of this volcano. I just think that this is really fascinating because it kind of ties in the climate changes that we have going on right now. I just happened to look at my phone earlier, and it said the average temp that traditionally happens this time of year for us here was there's an 18-degree difference between what it typically is and what it has been this year. So he doesn't outright say that, like, talk about, I guess, specifically our impact on climate change, but he alludes to it a lot, and he leads readers there to kind of make their own inferences, and I thought it was really interesting. It has all types of illustrations. It is also a body of work that ties in the origins of Frankenstein, which I had no idea that Frankenstein originated from the impact or the effects of this volcano. He talks about the invention of the bicycle, like the very rudimentary invention that would become the bicycle was invented during this time because of the volcano. It was just a lot of things that happened historically that I did not know were definitely impacted or greatly tied to the impact of this volcano. So this is 5 out of 5, and I'm definitely going to put The Mona Lisa Vanishes on hold at the library so I can read that. But other than that, I finished absolutely nothing else. I mean, I finished 4 books since my last check-in, which I know for some people it's gonna be like, well, you finished 4 books, but I didn't finish anything on task, and as a Virgo, that's bothering me, but it is what it is. It's fine. I am thinking that I think with next week's vlog I may do the dragon theme. I've been really wanting to read some books about dragons, and I have about 3 to 5 that I need to read, so we'll see if that ends up being the next theme. But as always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content from me, click the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications. If you're looking for ways to support the channel or follow me on social media, all the links be down in the description box below. And if you made it this far to the end of the video, leave me a heart, because this was supposed to be a romantasy vlog, and yet here we are reading everything but that. Alright y'all, I'll be back with another video soon.